It's hard to write this. Everything still feels raw, like picking at a wound that hasn't fully scabbed over. But people need to know. Maybe it helps someone else. Maybe it just helps me get it out. It's been 6 months since everything changed. Since the woman I thought I knew vanished, replaced by a monster wearing her face. Let's call her W, my wife. For 10 years, she was my world. We weren't perfect, nobody is, but I thought we were solid. We had dreams. The biggest one was this little house out near the hills. Needed some work, but had potential. We saved every spare penny for that down payment. I worked doubles, skipped vacations, drove the same beat-up car long after it should have died. It was our dream, you know? Or so I thought. About 3 years ago, I got offered a job. A big one. Management track. International company based in Singapore. More money than I'd ever dreamed of. A chance to really build something, see the world. I was ecstatic. I came home buzzing, ready to celebrate, plan the move. W listened, smiled, and then the tears started. Singapore? But my family is here. Our life is here. What about us? She talked about wanting kids soon, needing her mother nearby, how lonely she'd be. She painted this picture of me abandoning her for ambition. It felt off, even then. A little too manipulative, but I loved her. I bought into the family-first argument. I turned the job down. Told myself it was the right thing to do. The noble sacrifice. My boss thought I was crazy. Maybe he was right. There were other things. Friends. Even my own sister. Would sometimes raise an eyebrow about W's spending. Her little lies that didn't quite add up. Her occasional selfishness. I shut them down. Every single time. You don't know her like I do, I'd say. Fierce. Protective. She has a good heart. Looking back, I was defending a ghost, a character she played just for me. The effort I put into building that joint savings account, the one for our house, felt like penance for even having doubted her myself sometimes. I worked harder, defended her louder. Idiot. Then, about 7 months ago, W started getting sick. Vague things at first. Fatigue, headaches, shortness of breath. Doctors ran tests, found nothing definitive. She got worse, or seemed to. More dramatic. Lots of sighing, hand-wringing, whispered fears about something serious. I was worried sick, of course. Taking time off work, hovering, trying to help. One evening she sat me down, tears streaming, voice trembling. "They think they know what it is," she choked out. It's severe environmental toxicity. My body is reacting to everything around me, like a rare, aggressive allergy to modern life itself. She claimed the local doctors were useless, that her condition was deteriorating rapidly. She'd found this support group online, full of people suffering the same mysterious ailment. And wouldn't you know it, this group recommended a miracle cure, a hyper-specialized, purified environment clinic. Not just any clinic, mind you. This one was incredibly exclusive, incredibly expensive, and conveniently located in a remote part of the Andes Mountains. "It's my only hope," she sobbed, clutching my hand. "They filter the air, the water, everything. It reverses the damage, but we have to book now. There's a waiting list, and they need the full payment up front to secure the spot. It's everything in the savings account." My blood ran cold at the mention of the savings, our house fund. But looking at her, pale, tearful, seemingly fading away, how could I say no? What kind of husband would I be? I felt sick with fear. Fear for her, fear of losing her, fear of losing our dream, but telling myself her life was more important. I did what any loving husband would do. I agreed. I promised her we'd find a way. We'd get her the treatment. I held her while she cried, relief flooding her face, relief I mistook for hope. The next few days were a blur of her researching the clinic, showing me glossy, probably photoshopped pictures of serene mountain lodges, talking nonstop about the healing air. She was strangely energetic for someone supposedly dying of toxic exposure. Red flag? Hindsight is a cruel thing. She handled all the booking details, claiming the process was complex, needed specific medical codes she got from her support group. She just needed me to authorize the transfer from the joint account to her personal one so she could make the international payment without delays. "It's easier this way, less red tape," she'd said, waving a dismissive hand. I nodded, numb with worry and grief. The transfer went through. Our dream home fund vanished in seconds. She was due to leave in about 2 weeks. She spent that time packing, mostly new clothes. "They have strict rules about synthetic fabrics," she explained, making tearful, maybe goodbye calls to her family, who of course offered sympathy and praised me for being such a supportive husband, and generally acting the part of the brave sufferer. One afternoon she went out to pick up special travel vitamins, I was sitting on the sofa, trying to read, but my mind was racing. Worry, finances, the future. It was all a heavy weight. Suddenly I heard it, faint but persistent, a buzzing sound. Bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. Not my phone, not the landline. It seemed to be coming from the sofa itself. I reached down, patted the cushions. Nothing, but the buzzing continued, muffled. I started digging, pushing my hand deep between the cushions, feeling around the springs. My fingers brushed against something hard, rectangular. I pulled it out. A phone. Sleek. Unfamiliar. Definitely not hers. Definitely not mine. A burner phone? My heart started pounding. Why would W need a burner phone? My mind flashed back to the job offer I'd turned down, the friends I'd alienated defending her, the savings account now empty. A cold dread washed over me. This wasn't right. None of it felt right. My hands were shaking as I tried to turn it on. Locked. Passcode needed. I tried her birthday. Number our anniversary. Number her mother's birthday. Number. Then a nasty little thought wormed its way in. The name of a male friend she mentioned a bit too often, a guy from her gym. Let's call him AP. A fair partner fits, though asshole prick is more accurate. I typed in his first name. Click. The phone unlocked. I felt like I was going to throw up. My breath hitched. I opened the messages first. And there it was. Months, maybe years of it. Explicit texts, photos that made my stomach churn, plans for secret meetups. Then the recent stuff, the meticulous planning of the cancer scam, no, the toxicity scam. Her bragging to AP about how easy I was to fool, how she deserved a break after putting up with me for so long. How the Andy's clinic story was perfect because it sounded so dramatic and explained needing all the money up front. He bought it hook, line, and sinker all, one message read. Thinks he's saving my life while we're sipping cocktails in the Maldives. God, he's pathetic. Maldives, not the Andes. I scrolled frantically. Found the booking confirmations for a 5-star overwater bungalow at a ridiculously expensive Maldives resort. Flights booked. Excursions planned. Shopping lists. All paid for, presumably, with our house fund. There were messages mocking my sacrifices. Remember when he turned down that Singapore job, BC, I cried about missing mommy? Ha ha ha. What a tool. Messages mocking my defense of her to my friends. His sister hates me. Good thing he's too stupid to listen. Each message was a physical blow. 10 years of my life, my love, my trust, all a lie, built on sand. The woman I loved didn't exist. She was a parasite, a performer, and I was her gullible mark. The grief I felt wasn't for her supposed illness. It was for the death of everything I thought we had. But something else was happening too. Under the shock, under the heartbreak, a different feeling was starting to crystallize. Cold, hard, quiet, rage. Not the explosive kind. Not the yelling and throwing things kind my dad sometimes had. This was different. This was the kind that sits deep in your gut, slows your breathing, focuses your mind. She chose this. She planned this cruelty. She laughed about my pain. She wasn't just leaving me. She was trying to destroy me, financially and emotionally, while she partied on my dime with her lover. Okay. I sat there for maybe an hour, just staring at the burner phone, the life draining out of my face, replaced by something else. Then, very calmly, I started thinking. She wanted treatment? She wanted an exclusive facility? She wanted to spend all our money on it? Fine, she'd get it, just not the one she expected. The next few days were focused. W was oblivious, floating on her cloud of deception, busy planning her tropical escape. I played my part, the worried husband. Listened to her fabricated symptoms, offered sympathetic noises, even helped her pack her new natural fiber clothes. Inside, I was a machine. Night after she was asleep, I was on my computer, VPNs active, incognito windows multiplying. I dove deep into the web, searching for places that matched her narrative but twisted it. Remote, check. Expensive, check. Exclusive, check. But not luxurious. Not healing. Something appropriate. I found it after 3 sleepless nights. A place high in the Andes, even more remote than her fictional clinic. It billed itself, ironically, as a holistic behavioral and environmental therapy center. Digging deeper through obscure forums and translated reviews revealed the truth. It was a bizarre hybrid, part boot camp-style rehab for behavioral issues, mostly rich kids dumped by desperate parents, part highly questionable research facility testing the effects of experimental dietary supplements derived from local, sometimes mildly psychoactive flora on its volunteers. Reviews mentioned grueling schedules, Spartan conditions, inedible food, strict rules, isolation, and staff who ranged from indifferent to outright sadistic. Perfect. And the kicker? They had a non-refundable, full payment upfront policy that almost exactly matched the amount W had stolen. I needed her details, AP's details. The burner phone had almost everything. Full names, dates of birth. She'd saved AP's contact info comprehensively, even scanned copies of their passports in a hidden folder, presumably for booking the Maldives trip. She'd made it easy. Too easy. The crucial conversation happened 2 days before her departure. She came to me, eyes wide, holding printouts. The fake Maldives ones, I realized. Everything's booked, honey. The final confirmation came through. I transferred the money from my account to the clinic this morning. It's done. She produced fake tears. This is it. Our last hope. I'm so scared, but I'm doing this for us. She hugged me tight. My heart felt like a block of ice. I looked into her eyes, searching for any flicker of the woman I thought I knew. Nothing there but calculation. I hugged her back, woodenly. I understand, I whispered, my voice sounding distant even to myself. Be brave. I know you can beat this. The words tasted like ash. That night, Operation Andes began. First, accessing the real Maldives booking. Her password security was laughable. Saved in the browser she occasionally used on our shared tablet. Login successful. Cancellation processed. Lost a small deposit. Maybe a few $100s. Worth it. A necessary cost of business. Second, the booking for the Andean hellhole. Used her details, AP's details, booking him as her mandatory support companion. A delicious irony. Paid the full, eye-watering amount. Our entire savings. Using the international wire transfer details she'd carelessly left in a notepad file, routed through an anonymizing service just in case. Non-refundable. Ironclad. Third, the confirmations. This was tricky. I needed to intercept the real Andy's confirmation and ensure she only saw fakes for the Maldives. I set up email filters on her account. Again, password saved. Redirected anything from the Andes facility straight to a trash folder I created. Then, using skills I hadn't needed since my college IT courses, I carefully crafted spoofed emails, mimicking the Maldives resort's branding, confirming her luxury suite, spa treatments, even a champagne arrival. Sent them to her primary inbox. She received them the next morning, beaming. Look, it's all set, she'd chirped, waving her phone. I nodded, forcing a smile. Fourth, covering my tracks. Deleted browser histories, wiped VPN logs, scrubbed the burner phone clean of my snooping, after backing up everything incriminating to multiple secure locations, and hid it somewhere she'd never find. There was one close call. The day before she left, she was on her laptop, checking emails. That's weird, she muttered. My blood froze. What's up? I asked, trying to sound casual. My spam filter seems to have caught a weird email, something in Spanish, probably just junk. She was about to click on it. Thinking fast, I accidentally spilled a glass of water right next to the laptop. Not on it, just close enough to make her jump back. Oh my God, sorry, I exclaimed, grabbing napkins. In the minor chaos, she forgot about the email, closed the laptop. Crisis averted. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I was playing with fire, manipulating digital trails, impersonating, setting an elaborate trap, fueled by cold, calculated rage. Was this me? I didn't recognize myself. But then I thought of her laughing messages, the stolen future, the sheer callousness of it all. Yes, this was me now, the man she created. The final packing was done. Her bags were full of beachwear and sunscreen, ready for the Maldives. My heart was full of ice, ready for the Andes. She thought she was escaping to paradise. She had no idea she was heading straight into the hell she deserved, and I had booked her a non-refundable one-way ticket. The morning of her departure was surreal. W was a whirlwind of feigned fragility and excitement. She hugged me long and hard at the door, tears glistening in her eyes. Crocodile tears I knew now. Wish me luck, she whispered dramatically, clinging just a little too long. I'll miss you so much. Think of me. Oh, I would be thinking of her, just not in the way she imagined. AP arrived to drive her to the airport, playing the role of the supportive friend helping with luggage. The brief, knowing glance they exchanged when they thought I wasn't looking, it fueled the glacier forming in my chest. I waved them off with a tight smile, the picture of the devoted, heartbroken husband. Stay strong, I called out, the words feeling alien in my mouth. Come back healthy. They drove away, laughing about something inside the car, probably already mentally spending my money on overpriced cocktails. I watched until the car turned the corner, then closed the door. The click of the lock echoed in the sudden silence. The performance was over. My part was done. Theirs was just beginning. The first few days were quiet. I went through the motions, work, eat, sleep, but my mind was elsewhere. It was constantly running calculations, replaying scenarios, and, I admit, picturing their arrival. I'd researched the travel route obsessively. The long international flight, the layover, then the smaller, stomach-churning propeller plane ride into the high-altitude regional airport. Finally, the pre-booked shuttle, likely a battered old van, for the hours-long, bone-jarring drive up winding mountain roads to the center. I imagined them stepping out of that van, expecting palm trees and ocean breezes, maybe a smiling concierge with a tray of welcome drinks. Instead, they'd be hit with thin, cold air, the stark, imposing sight of the facility, more concrete bunker than healing sanctuary, and maybe the smell of disinfectant and boiled cabbage. Based on the facility's leaked intake protocols I found online, I knew exactly what would happen next. They'd approach the reception desk, still expecting the Maldives booking. The confusion, the denial. "No, there must be a mistake. We're booked at the Serenity Shores Resort," W would insist, her voice rising. The stern-faced administrator, probably a local hired for their imposing demeanor and lack of English beyond the essentials, would just shake their head. "No resort. Centro Holístico de Terapia Conductual y Ambiental." They'd pull out the file. Booking confirmation, non-refundable, full payment received, for Senora W's name and companion, Senor AP's name. Behavioral and environmental therapy program. Intake begins immediately. Panic. Real raw panic would hit them. Arguments. Threats, maybe. Pointless. Then the masterstroke I'd glimpsed in the protocols. Before they could fully process the nightmare, before they could even try to use a phone, if they had signal, brusque orderlies, probably ex-military types used to handling difficult patients, would appear. Screening medico obligatorio, protocolo de desintoxicación, mandatory medical screening, detoxification protocol. They'd be physically separated, stripped of their luggage for decontamination. Their phones, no unauthorized electronics permitted. Their carefully constructed fantasy, dragged off in different directions to be processed, poked, prodded, and likely given the foul-tasting, cleansing concoction mentioned in multiple horrified online reviews. Welcome to the Andes. Welcome to your karma. I won't lie, imagining this brought a grim, dark satisfaction. It wasn't joy. It was the cold, hard click of a lock snapping shut. Justice, in its own twisted way. While they were settling into their new reality, the grueling 5 a.m. wake-up calls, the mandatory calisthenics in the freezing mountain air, the therapy sessions that sounded more like psychological endurance tests, the disgusting nutrient-paced meals, the experimental supplements made from God knows what local weeds. I was busy back home, very busy. First call, a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, but the sharpest, most ruthless divorce attorney I could find, recommended by a colleague who'd been through a messy split himself. I laid everything out, the 10-year marriage, the faked illness, the affair, the burner phone evidence, texts, photos, plans, the drained savings account, the fraudulent treatment story. I handed over copies of everything from the burner phone backup. His eyes widened slightly as he reviewed the messages. "This is comprehensive," he said, a predatory glint in his eye. "Fraud, dissipation of marital assets, adultery. She hasn't left herself much wiggle room." We immediately filed for divorce, citing everything. We requested emergency court orders to freeze all known assets, what little might be left in her personal account, secure sole possession of the house, and prevent her from incurring any further joint debt. Given the blatant fraud and her absence under suspicious circumstances, the judge granted the orders quickly. Second step, locks changed on the house. All of them. New deadbolts, window locks upgraded. My home was now secure. Her key was useless. Third, informing key people. This was hard. My parents, my sister, a couple of close friends who I'd previously shut down when they'd voiced concerns about W. I didn't give them the gory details of the Andes revenge, that was mine alone, but I told them about the affair, the financial theft, the fake illness scam. I showed my sister a few key messages from the burner phone. The look on her face shifted from shock to, "I told you so," pity, then quickly to righteous anger on my behalf, having their support, finally admitting I'd been a fool but was now taking action, felt like shedding a heavy skin. W's family? I left them in the dark for the lawyer to handle later. Let them hear it officially. Fourth, finances. Assess the damage. The house fund was gone, obviously. She'd also run up some credit card debt I wasn't aware of. But the house itself was safe for now, thanks to the court order. I started the process of legally separating our finances completely, closing joint cards, redirecting my salary to a new personal account. It was damage control, but it was control nonetheless. Meanwhile, weeks were passing in the Andes. I pictured the initial shock wearing off, replaced by the grim reality of their confinement, the boot camp routines, the mandatory group therapy where they probably had to share fabricated feelings, the side effects of those supplements. Reviews mentioned nausea, dizziness, vivid nightmares. I imagined W stripped of her makeup, her fancy clothes replaced by the facility's drab uniform, her manipulative charm useless against indifferent staff. I pictured AP, probably not used to hardship, cracking under the physical demands, the lack of comfort, the absence of ego-stroking. Their relationship, built on deceit and illicit thrills, wouldn't survive this. I saw them turning on each other, blame shifting. This was your stupid idea. You're the one who couldn't keep your legs closed. Arguments echoing in the thin mountain air. The shared misery wouldn't bond them. It would expose the rotten core of their connection. Escape attempts? Probably. But where would they go? Miles from anywhere. No money. Possibly their passports held for safekeeping by the administration. The reviews mentioned that escape attempts resulted in longer stays or loss of privileges. They were truly stuck. Then, about 6 weeks into their treatment, my phone rang. An unknown international number. My heart gave a jolt, but I let it go to voicemail. No message left. 10 minutes later, a text message came through from the same number. Blocked, garbled characters at first, then, OP's name. Help us. Trapped. This place nightmare. Not Maldives. Sick. Need money. Get us out. Call me. It was W. The desperation, the panic, radiated even through the text. Part of me, the old me, felt a flicker of something. Pity? Number. More like morbid curiosity. But the cold, hard core that had formed over the last few weeks snuffed it out instantly. She made her bed. Now she could lie in it and freeze. I waited an hour, let her stew in that Andean hellhole, wondering if her message even got through, wondering if I'd help. Then I carefully composed my reply. I typed it out, deleted it, retyped it, wanting the tone to be just right. Not angry, not emotional, just chillingly detached. I hit send. My reply: glad the experimental treatment seems effective. Doctors report stable vitals. I imagined her reading that, the confusion turning to horror as she realized I knew. Not just knew about the affair, but knew where she was. Knew it wasn't the Maldives. Knew it was treatment. The implication that I was monitoring her, that I was perhaps even involved in her being there. That message was designed to break whatever hope she had left, to let her know she wasn't forgotten. She was watched, and her suffering was noted, clinically. Silence after that. No more calls. No more texts from that number. Life continued. The legal process ground on. W's lawyer eventually made contact with mine, full of bluster and denial at first, then sputtering indignation when presented with the irrefutable evidence from the burner phone. Settlement negotiations were brief. She'd get nothing beyond her personal belongings, which I had packed into boxes and put in storage, to be collected by her lawyer. The house, any remaining traceable funds, my pension, all secured for me due to her egregious fraud and dissipation of assets. News eventually trickled back through convoluted channels, a distant cousin who knew someone who worked with AP's wife, that sort of thing, that W and AP had somehow managed to get out of the Andes after nearly 3 months. Apparently, AP's family had finally wired just enough money for basic flights home after being contacted by a desperate, barely coherent AP, but not before AP had apparently completely abandoned W at the facility gates, blaming her for everything. The day W finally showed up hammering on my newly locked front door was almost anticlimactic. I saw her through the peephole. She looked ravaged, thin, haggard, eyes burning with a desperate fury. She wasn't the composed manipulator anymore. She was a cornered animal. OP's name! Let me in! You bastard, what did you do? She screamed, her voice raw. You set me up! You ruined me! I'll kill you! Threats. Rage. No remorse. No apology. Just pure vitriolic fury that her plan had backfired so spectacularly. I didn't answer the door. I just calmly called the police, reported a disturbance, mentioned the existing court order preventing her from being near the property. They arrived quickly. Seeing the police cars, she launched into another tirade, making herself look even more unhinged. They escorted her away, warning her about violating the restraining order. That was the last time I saw her face to face. The divorce was finalized shortly after. She got her boxes of clothes and trinkets. That was it. 10 years, flushed away by her greed and deceit. I started rebuilding. Therapy helped. Reconnecting with the friends and family I'd pushed away helped more. The house felt big and empty at first, but slowly it started to feel like mine alone. I began fixing it up, not for us, but for me. Found satisfaction in the physical work, sanding floors, painting walls, reclaiming the space. I heard through the grapevine that W ended up moving back in with her parents, who were apparently horrified and ashamed by the whole affair and the scam. She was broke, reputation shredded, unable to find decent work. AP, true to form, wanted nothing more to do with her and was busy trying and failing to salvage his own marriage and career. complete financial ruin, reliant on disapproving family, lover long gone, a fitting outcome. Do I regret what I did? Sending them to that place? Number not a single shred of remorse. She tried to destroy my life with calculated cruelty while laughing behind my back. She experienced a fraction of the pain she intended for me, served up in a dish, best served cold, high in the Andes. Maybe, like my dad's story about A, some good came of it. Maybe W learned something about consequences. Maybe AP did. Probably not. But I learned. I learned trust is fragile. I learned forgiveness isn't always required. And I learned that sometimes, the coldest revenge is letting someone reap exactly what they sow, in the most unexpected location possible. My life isn't perfect now, there are scars, but it's my life again, and that's a victory worth more than any savings account. That's all for this story. I'll be back with another one. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It motivates me to create more content like this.